falling to the ground. Well, if you watch the video closely, he immediately went for that ear. He grabbed for it as soon as those bangs started ringing out. Correll, we're still waiting for any official word from any law enforcement in the area that can give us some sort of clue about what their initial investigation is finding.
And then, Austin, as you did mention, we did see him reach for that ear as soon as we heard those popping noises. For everybody just joining us now, we are going to continue to replay those moments so you can see for yourself exactly what happened at that campaign rally over in Butler, Pennsylvania. I'm going to re-rack it for you and bring it to you again. We are following this developing story. We are working to get all of the latest information for you. As you saw, my colleague Austin Westfall there, he is scouring the web, trying to speak to different sources to try to get more information on this developing story. But in the meantime, for anyone just joining us, we are following breaking news out of a campaign rally for former President Donald Trump. He was in Pennsylvania today. Let's watch the moments when chaos ensued.
And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Blicky, 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 how they did. Blicky. Golly. Golly. That's crazy. Hey, y'all, I'm back. I just seen this. I'm like, I had to do the 1-2 on the 1-2. Lie to nobody about it. You know what I'm saying? So we just gonna cover this while they covering this. You feel me? All my good people. You know what I'm saying? Might as well just file on in here. Let's do it up.
Hold, when you're ready. On you. Ready. Move.
Hey, y'all, look how ill these white people are, though. Watch how they cheer for Champ when he get in. They're like, yeah, yeah, hell yeah, America. That shit different, boy. They'll die about this American shit, boy, won't they?
Shooters down. Are we good to move? We're clear. Let's move. We're clear.
All my good people in the building, salute, salute. I see y'all.
Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we got to move to the bus.
Yeah, bro, ill. He must have had some red bottoms on or some Jordan 1s.
Watch out.
Let me find out the president had on the Nocta OVO Nikes, nigga. That nigga said, get my shoes. Get my shoes. What kind of shoes you got on, Prezi? Hey, look it. USA. Like, what? They got him in the ear, or did that nigga just hit his head on the thing? What's going on? Y'all talk to me. Get my shoes is crazy on game. Why are you always talking down to white people? White behavior. When did I say that? When did I say anything talking down on white people? I just said white people's crazy because y'all eat lunches on the side of cliffs. Y'all hike mountains that y'all shouldn't hike. Y'all go deep into the ocean where y'all know y'all shouldn't go. Y'all do these things.
I know that
you guys
also work closely with terrorism. You've also worked with the Secret Service. You were watching this very closely. As
and
we
shut
all
up,
were here in the
nigga.
newsroom,
Go
this
sell some
developing
Scooty
story,
bikes.
Very tense, chaotic, very scary for everyone involved. Tell me, what are your initial thoughts when you see this happen at a campaign rally?
Well, campaign rallies, Correll, are always rather, dangerous situations for the protectee because you have so many people there. And even though they try to do some sort of screening.
Sharp Pimp of the Year is crazy. Chill out, my nigga, in the chat. You so crazy.
A lot of times they'll have wands to try and see if they can detect firearms of everybody coming in. That tends to be pretty much the norm anymore. There's always a chance somebody could get in there. And then, of course, if we saw, just a few years ago with the former prime minister of Japan, who was making basically a political rally, was somebody built an improvised firearm. And with improvised firearms, there's a lot of different ways that they might be able to sneak that in. And, of course, the fear of 3D printing firearms with non-ferrous materials like plastics or something like that. So we can only guess as to what happened, but yes, a firearm, a weapon can be gotten into a rally like this, despite all the precautions that are there. From what I saw, it looks like, or it sounds and looks like something hit hit President Trump. It sounds like something based on what I saw, and you couldn't see much, but it looked like it hit his ear, and it looked like there was blood around his ear, and that certainly in a situation like that, it would not be unlikely that a would-be assassin might go for what's called a headshot, which is they're trying to shoot him in the head. If you recall how President Kennedy was assassinated, that was a headshot that basically was used in that assassination. And there's been a number of attempts on presidents. As you know, President Reagan, there was an attempt on him. He was shot. There was an attempt on President Gerald Ford, where fortunately.
Hey, Lino said this is the biggest play ever done. Look, I was just going to say, pay attention. I don't know.
The gun jammed, and it didn't happen. And then you go back in history, you know, McKinley, of course, Lincoln. There's been a number of attempts on political figures. You may recall George Wallace was shot, and he wasn't killed, but he was.
Nigga said he got grazed like Dijon.
Crippled, put into a wheelchair for the rest of his life. So. You know, that's why the Secret Service works so hard. I mean, they go through extensive training. The agents that are assigned to the presidential detail are vetted to make sure that they are, you know, able in every way, shape, and form to do the job for which they're assigned. And of course, what you saw there is they're trying to get the president or the former.
What's popping noises, bro? Was it gunshots or not? There's blood on his ear. Did it graze his ear? What's going on?
Former president out of there as quickly as possible. Where he is at on the stage is essentially the kill zone. That's essentially wherever the assassin was aiming is that area. And they want to get him out of there. They want to get him to what's called the Beast, the armored vehicle. Where basically that's a safe area where there's a lot of armor, small arms certainly. I won't get into all the details of what that's capable of, but basically it protects the protectee, if you will. In this case, the former president. They want to get him out of there. They want to get him to safety. One thing you didn't see that you might see with the sitting president would be a more robust medical.
This nigga Zay said it was most likely fireworks. I don't know about this one.
Ability that would be with the actual president, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Even though he's a former president, he's not in any chain of command. So there is a protection detail, but it's not the same as you would see with the actual president. President Biden would have a bigger detail, and I've been back in Washington D.C. when President Trump came by. He was just driving by, just happened to be near the White House. And I'll just say it's a fairly extensive entourage for a sitting president when they're in office. And that was when he was in office. So you don't see that, but you will have medically trained. Secret Service are all medically trained. They get a lot of specialized, I don't know if it would be fair to say trauma, but emergency medicine, the things that they might have to do to help the president or anybody else out who might be hit with a weapon, whether it be a firearm, bullet, if you will, or an improvised explosive device or anything else that might hit the protectee. They get a lot of training in that. But if you look here, when you see when Secret Service gets up there, first they're shielding him. They get around him. They're all wearing vests. So basically, they're using their vests and their bodies to protect President Trump. And then what they're doing is once they have assessed that they can move him out of the situation, they're getting him out. Now, one of the things, it's a political rally. And I think President Trump's first instincts were to show the crowd that he was all right, that he wasn't, that the would-be assassins or whoever had not won the day, so to speak. And so there was a little bit of a struggle, I think, with the Secret Service agents to get him to stay down so they can get him out of harm's way and into the vehicle, into the armored vehicle, so he can be rushed out of the scene.
Al, we're going to keep you on here, of course, throughout this developing story that we continue to follow. But I'd also like to bring into the conversation my colleague, Austin Westfall. He is following along here inside of the newsroom and trying to bring some more commentary into this. He is looking for all of those latest developments. Austin, I know that you have some new news to provide for us here. If you would like to bring us the latest of what you've learned.
We have some positive news coming from Trump's campaign. His campaign saying in a statement that he is, quote, fine after being whisked off the stage at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania after those apparent gunshots rang out. The statement from their campaign says that President Trump thanks law enforcement and first responders for their quick action during this heinous act. That's according to a spokesman on the campaign. It continues saying that he is fine and is being checked out at a local medical facility. More details will follow. We also have heard from the Secret Service for the first time saying that the former president is safe. We're also getting in from the White House press pool that President Biden has received an initial briefing on the incident at former President Trump's rally. Jackie Heinrich saying such. So my question for Hal is, where do we go from here? Where does the investigation go from here, Hal? What are they just starting? And I presume this will be a very lengthy investigation.
Austin, as near as I can tell, unless you've heard something different, they didn't get the perpetrator, from what I gather, unless you've heard they have. The last I heard, they had not. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to basically contain the scene. Obviously, they're going to see if anybody else was injured, hurt, whatever it is. But they're going to try and
nigga said, I know what M80 sound like. Hey, don't say nothing to ECU, Queen. I don't know who that is, bro. Be on bunk skunk. Don't even say nothing, bro. Just let him do his thing, man.
Gather evidence, but they're also going to detain anyone who's there. An assumption they might have, which would be a good assumption, is that the perpetrator or perpetrators could be in the crowd. That did sound, and you can only tell so much from the audio that we have from the cameras and everything. It did kind of sound like it might have been a small arm, like a pistol or something, or some smaller improvised device. It didn't sound like it was something, and I may be wrong. It could just be the audio the way it is, but it didn't sound like it was a sniper rifle, if you will, from a long distance or something like that. We will learn more as this thing's unfolding. I may be completely wrong. It just may be the way the sound traveled or whatever. But it did sound like it was something smaller up close. And if that's the case, then whoever did it was right there. But it could very well be that somebody had some sort of weapon. They may have dropped the weapon and tried to get away from it to try and distance themselves. They may have taken precautions to avoid having their fingerprints on the weapon. They could have done a lot of different things if they were planning on getting away. You know, in most cases where someone tries to do something like this, a would-be assassin of a former president or a president, they usually, historically speaking, don't see it as an opportunity to get away, if you will. Although, with that said, President Kennedy's would-be assassin, or at least the alleged assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, did get away from the book depository, and they caught him later in a theater. So he had actually basically moved away from the entire scene, and he left his weapon. Depending on which conspiracy theory you think of with JFK, but the weapon was left in the book depository. Did not try to take the weapon with him, and it could be very well in this case that whoever used that weapon, used it. It sounded like there was more than one shot. There was multiple shots, and could have very well just left the weapon there. And that's something that Secret Service and law enforcement will be going through, collecting evidence, find the weapon, try and find the perpetrator. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's talking about doing some sort of tests on everybody's hands and stuff, if they can pick up gunpowder residue or something like that, just to figure out who was responsible for this. This is a pretty high-profile incident, and so they're going to be pulling out all the stops to try and figure out who did it, and obviously the Secret Service absolutely has a mission imperative to find out who did this, because not only are they looking at this, but one of the things they're going to be looking at is there going to be more than this?
Hey, Trump get hit with the Glock dookie is crazy. That's insane, bro.
One of the things the Secret Service, from a threat assessment standpoint, is this a one-off, or is this part of a broader conspiracy? In other words, could they try something on the president? Could they try something on the vice president or some other high-profile member of the cabinet or some other high-profile political figure? Could it be a broader conspiracy? These are all things the Secret Service and others, and I won't get into it, FBI, others, are going to be looking at very closely to try and figure out just how big is this? Is this a lone wolf individual, which is what we all kind of lean to thinking it might be, or could it be something more? And right now, I don't think they have the answers.
All right, Hal, we are just hitting the top of the hour, just after 4 p.m. on the West Coast and just after 7 p.m. on the East Coast.
Salute Joseph for the sub, man. Appreciate that, gang. Appreciate that.
Austin is going to be standing by with us here, going to be providing more context. Austin, we will bring you in just a little bit as you continue to learn more. Hal, stick with us. But because we have just hit the top of the hour, I do want to re-rack that entire scenario, that scary situation of this popping noises heard at a campaign rally for former President Trump over in Butler, Pennsylvania. If you are just joining us, we did carry it for you live. It happened just after 6 p.m. Eastern time, about 5 minutes into the former president speaking. Let's watch as this entire chaos unfolded.
You ain't getting none of this rhetoric off.
And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
That might have been a BB gun.
Move it spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare. Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready. We ready?
That shit gotta be scary as one of them niggas. Like, they suited up. That shit gotta be
Shooters down.
scary.
Are we good to move?
That nigga could be anywhere, just popping. Man, like, what?
We're clear.
Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes.
Hold on in your head.
Let me get my Jordans.
So we gotta move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Those are the OGO 6s.
Wait.
I be telling y'all, this nigga be thugging. Look at that. That nigga be thugging. That nigga different. Shit. That nigga's different. Trump is different, y'all. Pay attention. That nigga say, like, what, nigga? I don't know, niggas who act like that after getting dumped on, like,
All right, watching there the very scary moments at the Trump campaign rally from earlier today over in Butler, Pennsylvania. The former president being escorted by Secret Service, being escorted inside of the motorcade there, trying to get to safety. And we are going to continue to show you more of that scene a little throughout this evening. In fact, as we continue to learn more on this developing story, I do want to bring up a tweet right now as we continue to learn more. This is from Meredith McGraw, but just in from the Trump spokesperson. President Trump thanks law enforcement and first responders for their quick action during this heinous act. He is fine and being checked out at a local medical facility. More details will follow. I'd like to bring once again into the conversation national security expert, also counterterrorism expert, and someone who has worked with the Secret Service. We have Hal Kempfert joining us live again. Hal, as we continue to re-rack the situation and try to learn exactly what happened, I'm going to go ahead and play out all of those scenes, and I'd like you to describe to our viewers what we're seeing here in terms of the response from Secret Service agents, and also those popping noises, what they could have possibly been. I know that you described where that could have come from, as we still learn from this investigation.
Okay, Corell, when we look at it, one of the things I was looking for in the background is to see which way the audience is reacting.
All right, fool.
Okay, you see where he's standing. He's a little bit off to the right. Now look where he's looking. Okay, see he's looking off to his right. Okay, and let's watch him.
Watch how you grab the ear.
So and that's where you see he reaches up to his ear. I don't know for sure, but it may have been he got a shot that came from his right, and that may have been what got his ear. And one of the things I'm looking for,
y'all.
If you watch this scene, you see Secret Service immediately rushed up. They're saying, duck, get down. They got him down low. They got him out of whatever line of sight a possible shooter might have been in. They don't know, clearly here it doesn't look like they know where the shots came from. But as it pulls back, look to what's our left, on the left side of the screen, which would be to President Trump's right. Do you notice everybody's kind of looking off to the right out there? I'm wondering if they heard something or saw something. You know, instinctively, and keep in mind, acoustics in a situation like this, they bounce around. You're never 100% sure.
I ain't gonna lie.
It could be they heard an echo effect, but based on where his head was
up, I seen
and where his
filming
ear
the whole
was,
damn time type shit. Like, yo, duck your head.
When he reached up to his ear, it could have been that the shot came from his right. And it could have been instinctively that some of those behind him immediately turned that direction because maybe that's where they thought they heard the pops or the sound coming from. With that said, maybe it was a weapon that was further out. Maybe it was something that's not in the crowd. It's too early to tell. Again, I would say they're going to freeze the situation. They're going to collect evidence. They're going to be talking to everybody there. They're probably going to be doing some sort of check to see if there's any residual residue, gunpowder residue on anybody's hands, coats, whatever, to try and figure out if there's a shooter within the crowd. But I do find it interesting that he was literally turning off to the right. He reaches up to his ear. That's where, we saw blood later. And then you saw people standing behind.
Or maybe he was signaling to the shooter, hey, look, you got this distance. I don't know. I'm just saying. Niggas talk about it might have been set up. Who knows? I don't know.
Behind him, instinctively start looking to the right. And of course, the thing you see today that you wouldn't have seen, say, way back is everybody grabs their phones and their phone and they're going to be looking out there. And that's another thing that investigators are trying to do is to look at everybody's phone. Everybody was doing live action motion video and audio, that was out there. You see that immediately. You see it before the shot or the shots, and then you see after the shots. I mean, literally people are popping up with their phones up, and I can tell you that that's something that they're used to now. Years back, if somebody popped up holding something like that in their hand,
Trump drop an
you might see an overreaction by law enforcement because they would say, what is that? They might mistake it for a weapon. But in this case, there's going to be a lot of people out there that have video of what occurred. And on that video, they may have some vital clues, if you will, some vital information that'll help investigators put together where the shot came from. And basically
somebody
what the whole situation rolled out to look like. But the fact that he was looking off to the right,
somebody
and
saw
then his ear was hit,
like they captured
could have
that
been
on
indicative
phone.
of different. Somebody trying to take, and this is purely postulation, we don't know. All right. Could have been somebody trying to do what would we call a headshot. All right. And he could have moved his head. They winged his ear, which is where you see the blood coming from. Secret Service reacted immediately, got him down. He's out of the line of sight of the shooter. and they're trying to figure out where the shots are coming from. But I was looking in the background to see where people instinctively looking to. Where do they think the shots came from?
Knew nobody was going to shoot again. That's what
they're
going to
be much better than anything we would hear. Certainly from microphones, audio feed that would come in via who's ever there. Whatever media is there. We're not going to pick that up quite so clearly. But people will hear that.
I know, bro.
People will often instinctively turn the direction of where they thought they heard something coming from.
On the screen.
And it looks like there's a lot of indications right off that it may have been a shot that came from the right side. Okay, and you see him go down immediately. So, and that's probably
how he had his hand out
one of
like
the reasons that you only see what you see is because he went. There was probably somebody there.
I don't know.
We can't see everything.
I don't know.
But you see how fast he went down. Secret Service reacted very quickly to get him out of the line of sight of any would-be shooter.
Shit.
And to get him covered. You see where they're basically putting their bodies, and with that, the ballistic vests that they all wear,
that shit is scary,
to basically provide a human shield, if you will, for President Trump. Now they're trying to ascertain where the shots came from. Normally what you'll see in a situation like this, at some point here, they got to get him out of what we call the kill zone. They want to move him out of the box, and they want to get him over into the beast, the vehicle, the armored vehicle that would be safety. So as soon as they can ascertain it's safe to move him, they're immediately moving him off the stage to get him over there. As sometimes happens with victims, they want to, like you heard him say, I need to get my shoes and stuff like that.
Fake.
That's very common. You'll see that in shooting situations, but you'll see that in disasters and stuff. The people try and pick up whatever it is. They might want to get their shoes or their or their purse or whatever it is. They'll try and
he got shot,
and it's like you got to get them out, and that's what Secret Service is trained for, is to move the protectee in the direction they need to move them, regardless of what the protectee really wants to do. They don't have time to get their shoes. They just need to get them out of there, get them out of the kill zone, if you will, get them into where it's safe, which is exactly what they did. But I can tell you right now that Secret Service is looking at this video just as closely as you and I are. And there is probably communication with everybody on the ground saying, okay, you need to look this direction. And I wouldn't be surprised if they've had people fanned out on that right side, going out quite some way. And they're looking at everything they can. They're trying to quickly gather whatever video they can. They're looking at online feeds. A lot of times people are posting these things live to social media. So they're doing a scan of all social media that's picking it up. And of course, they're also looking if there's any claims of responsibility or an attempt on President Trump and going through anything like that. And of course, there will be some people out there who may claim responsibility
who
had absolutely nothing to do with it. And Secret Service is very good at weeding that out over time. But they're going to be looking at everything that's going on. And they're also going to be trying to take a look at the wound in his ear.
You hear shots and
they're going to make some determinations of the ballistics of whatever hit him. Was it something small, like maybe if it was something small like a 22, that would immediately, which is a very small caliber round. But it is something that is favored by, certainly by assassins, if you will, but is something that's favored by someone who might have a very small concealed weapon, whatever that weapon might be. It's a smaller round which aids concealment, which is something you might see in a situation like this.
This dude just won. Look at Loretta. On God, though. That's what I'm saying.
Speak on the events of this, but right now we are approaching or just at 7:15 over on the East Coast, before 15 here on the West Coast. Stick with us here, but I do want to go ahead and re-wrap this entire scenario for anyone that is just joining us now. We do know that the former president, his team says that he is fine after that incident at a campaign in Butler, Pennsylvania. I want to go ahead and bring up this video again. We have been watching it on our screen, but the audio that comes with it is also very compelling and really speaks to the chaos and how scary this moment was for both the president, the former president there, and also all of the people that attended this rally. Let's watch.
Killer Jules, salute, man. Thank you for that sub. Appreciate you.
What happened to our country? Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
He thugging. He got hit with the shit in his ear and stood up and still was like, what the fuck going on? What the hell? Like, that's thugging to me. Or it's planned. I'm going to just be real because that was crazy. He like, what was that? Bow, get hit in his ear and still go, what was that? Like, nigga, duck.
Move his hair. When you're ready, on you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the stair. Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready. You ready?
I feel that, Lucci. I feel that. The nigga just won. Shout out Loretta. She called that. On game. That nigga just won.
We're clear. We're clear.
Shout out to the conspiracy theorists in the building. I see some shit y'all doing.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes. Hold on.
Doing it up here.
So we got to move to the bus.
This nigga's big thugging. Look at him. Watch him throw the fist up. 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 Pink power. Yeah. That's crazy. That's thugging. Look at, he riled the troops. Look at him. They're like, yeah, fuck it. Nobody could kill Trump. USA! USA! Nigga just won. Damn. Golly. I believe they actually showed her.
All right, there you have it. A very scary, intense situation over in Butler, Pennsylvania. You see Secret Service members escorting the former president into a Secret Service motorcade, getting him to safety after we heard those popping noises coming from somewhere at this event. We're still trying to learn more of those details, trying to get more confirmation. I would like to bring up some tweets because we are getting reaction across the board. This first one we have is from a Fox News correspondent, Bill Malusian. He does have the statement from the Secret Service here detailing this entire event and this situation happening, unfolding just after 6 p.m. Eastern time today. That campaign rally was supposed to be held earlier at around 5 p.m., but it was pushed back, and about 5 minutes into the former president speaking is when we heard those popping noises. So we have here the statement in full. It's a bit cut off, but I will read it to you in full. It says this: an incident occurred the evening of July 13th at a Trump rally in Pennsylvania. The Secret Service has implemented protective measures, and the former president is safe. This is how an active Secret Service investigation and further information will be released when available. Continuing on with some more reaction from Twitter, we also have another Fox News correspondent here, Jackie Heinrich, saying just now from the White House, the president has received an initial briefing on the incident at former President Trump's rally. We're waiting to learn more about what Biden has to say on this situation. Then we have here a tweet from Team Trump via his spokesperson. President Trump thanks law enforcement and first responders for their quick action during this heinous act. He is fine and is being checked out at a local medical facility. More details will follow. And then we also have a tweet from his son, Donald Trump Jr., with a photo here from that rally saying he'll never stop fighting to save America. In this photo, you can also see the blood on the former president's face at the top of his right ear.
This shit is like the Muhammad Ali photo. This how the folks gonna take this photo.
Here, and he went down behind the podium trying to take cover in this situation. It was very quick, very chaotic. We played it for you here as all of that went down. Let's bring back into the conversation now our national security expert, counterterrorism expert, and also someone who has worked closely with the Secret Service, Hal Kempfer, continues to join me here. Hal, let's keep dissecting the situation as we wait to learn any more official news from investigators looking into this. So I think another question that our viewers may have is, how can this happen with the amount of security that we have at these political events? How is it possible that someone could carry out a heinous act, possibly somewhere where there is so much protection. The Secret Service is there. There's metal detectors. People are very vigilant. So how could this have gotten through?
Well, we don't know at this time how close the shooter or shooters got. What we see is clearly that something had struck him
probably for a high price.
Around the ear. We see blood. That's where he reached. So somewhere around the ear, and I'm assuming it probably hit his ear. And then you see obviously blood that was smeared across his face. But he didn't. It doesn't look like it was. And certainly the reports are that he's fine. I'm going to probably assume that it wasn't a traumatic injury. It was one. They would have said.
No, it didn't look traumatic. He got right back up and cheered on you niggas.
And there'll be a lot of blood loss if you got shot in around your ear.
This nigga's a regular thug.
So that's what we're seeing there. But now look in the scene. See where all those people in the back, to his right, our left side of the screen. Now, instinctively, if there's something like this going on, people want to see what's happening. And you see a lot of people looking down, trying to see what's going on with President Trump. But what you see is a lot of people, as you look to the left-hand side, they're looking out because there's something that got their attention. And that something may have been a shooter. And if you look at where his head was positioned, looking off to the right, when he reached up to his ear and we heard the popping noise, that is indicative that somebody could have been out there that may have shot something. That would also probably explain why we've heard nothing more about anybody. As you see, he's surrounded by people. So if there were shots from, say, down below up to him,
I ain't gonna lie to you.
You would expect with multiple shots, somebody in and around him or behind him might have been hit. And there's been no reports that anybody was hit, which would be, if I'm looking at everything there, there's a couple of channels, if you will, where if a shot was fired, that a round that was not stopped would and kept going would have probably
like I said, Trump got real
landed somewhere where it wouldn't have impacted anyone, and that would be indicative of something coming
globally.
Off.
This is the top
based on what we're seeing. We don't know. We don't have enough information yet, but based on what we're seeing, something coming off from the right-hand side. And so that they're going to be looking for the round. They're going to be looking what everybody's doing. And by the way, you saw that picture that was posted that shows him with the blood smeared on his face, and you see his ear, and he's up on the stage. I don't know if that was the official photographer, but I'm guessing that may have actually been taken from somebody who was down close to the stage, and they may have posted that immediately on social media, and that got picked up, and then they got as we would have said, retweeted or forwarded out there, and so. That tells you how fast this is. It also tells you
Jumpman logo
how
right there, my nigga.
They made sure they got that shot. And others will be looking for any information, anything they can gather and glean. They can give them any idea of where the shot came from, what the circumstances are, and of course they're trying to figure out, again, as we talked about before, is this a one-off? Was it just a lone wolf doing something at a political rally? Or is this part of something much larger? Could this be part of a broader conspiracy? And if you want to go back historically, Lincoln was assassinated, President Lincoln, in Ford's Theater, but it was part of a much larger conspiracy. That was part of a larger conspiracy to take over the government. If you may recall, not too many months ago, there was a plot that was uncovered in Ukraine, assassination plot, where they were going to take out, President Zelensky and others, as a plot to overthrow the government. Now, obviously, Donald Trump is not the sitting president, so it wouldn't be anything that would upset the government, if you will. But he is, they're down to two candidates for president. It is an election year, and so it could be something that has very, obviously something that probably has some sort of political motive. With that, and that makes them wonder, is there possibly more than just this one thing that they're seeing? And I would imagine that a number of people, a number of very high-profile individuals in the Biden administration and other senior political figures are probably getting some, if they're not actually being hustled off to someplace for safety, they are being told, you need to stay put. Do not go out, do not do anything until we got a better handle on what this is all about.
Al, we're going to keep you here on the line as we continue to follow the latest developments. I'd like to bring into the conversation now, though, my colleague, Austin Westfall. He is standing by here working to get more information. Austin, I know that some more reaction is coming in. What have you learned?
We're hearing from the White House press pool that the president is getting an updated briefing from the following individuals. Kimberly Cheadle, she's the director of the United States Secret Service. Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who is with the Department of Homeland Security, as well as Liz Sherwood Randall, who is the assistant to the president and Homeland Security advisor. So Hal, Homeland Security, Secret Service, what are going to be these agencies' respective roles in an ongoing investigation of this magnitude?
Well, Secret Service has lead. And I should mention the Secret Service is part of the Department of Homeland Security. So what you're seeing there is a chain of command. You're seeing the head of the Secret Service there, which makes sense because this is an attack on a protectee, a Secret Service protectee, a candidate for president. So they would be the obvious, first up.
Don't be worried about who in the chat.
Secretary Mayorkas would be there because he is the cabinet member that for Homeland Security, and overall, this is something that he has larger cognizant authority over. But they're also looking at a variety of other things. Remember, next week is the RNC, the Republican National Convention. Now, I'm not sure what level that is, but sometimes these things, depending on what's going on, can be designated a national security special event. If that happens, security for that is led by the Secret Service because of the serious nature of what it is. If you see things like the Super Bowl or major sports events or things like that high profile that terrorists might try to take advantage of, many times they will be designated national security special events, and the Secret Service has lead for that. But with that, they are backed up by everything else within the Department of Homeland Security, and in fact, they may grab special agents from other departments like Homeland Security investigations or other parts and components, if you will, of Department of Homeland Security, and to buttress up the total force that's out there that they can use, that they can utilize in protecting the event or protecting the protectee or protecting both, I should say, in these situations. And I imagine right now, if I was in charge of security at the Republican National Convention, I think by this point, I would have everybody that was working with me would be in there, and there would be some very rapid planning going on for next week. And I imagine there's going to be some things that they're doing to improve the security posture. They've certainly probably adjusted the threat condition or the threat con, if you want to call it that, in terms of what that's going to look like. And they're also looking at every other political event in the country. This is not just one thing. They're going to be looking at whatever President Biden's doing. They're going to be looking at whatever Vice President Harris is doing. They're going to be looking at any major high-profile political events. I would imagine they're looking at all the potential vice president nominees, or the short list, if you will, of those that might be picked as the Republican vice president. And I imagine they will be contacting all of them and saying, "Hey, you need to kind of, pardon the expression, hunker down. You don't need to go out and do things. You might want to take a heightened security posture. And if they don't have security, they should probably do that." Now, if they are a sitting governor or something like Governor Youngkin, he would have his own state security force that would probably heighten his personal security. And then, of course, for those who might be a senator, the Capitol Hill Police has personal security individuals who might be immediately assigned to some of these, those who might be on the short list or those who might be higher profile. And then they're going to be also looking at, leaders in Congress, and in fact, it'll go across all government. Every cabinet member has a security detail. The Supreme Court has their own police force. They have security details. So all of this will be increasing commensurately until they figure out what has happened here. They don't know exactly what the circumstances are. And to my knowledge, and Austin, you're watching this closer than I am right now, I don't think they have a perpetrator or perpetrators in custody, from what I gather.
Hal, we're actually following that closely right now. And what I can say is that we're seeing some initial reporting, and if a producer in the room can correct me here, I'm seeing some reporting from the Washington Post to indicate that Trump was grazed by gunfire, but is safe. An audience member, according to WAPO, was killed, and the shooter is dead. Another person is in serious condition. We're working to get that confirmed ourselves, but the Washington Post is reporting that for now. So just to back up, an audience member dead, the shooter dead, another person in serious condition, according to the Washington Post. So how, when you hear that the shooter is dead, what comes to mind? How could this thing have gone down? We really don't have a lot of details to go off of right now.
No, but that's a lot of information, and that really does narrow down the possible scenario. That kind of gives me an idea of maybe
just
where
get bro up
the
out of
round
here.
may
Don't
have
even
come
worry
from.
about it. Any of y'all in here, y'all got the
Obviously,
wrenches, just do it
it
up,
hit
bro.
somebody,
I'm
an
not
audience
tripping.
member.
Niggas is
We don't know
ignorant as
where
fuck.
in the audience they were, where it came from, but somebody around him obviously was, and that the person was killed. You know, what's not clear here is was somebody else possibly wounded. The shooter is dead. That could be a couple of things. You know, in some cases, they will take their own lives after they do something like this. In other cases, it could be what we didn't see was when you heard that initial gunfire, perhaps some of that follow-on gunfire was actually law enforcement or Secret Service out there taking down the shooter. So we're getting a lot more information as far as what this is looking like. And the fact that they have shot the shooter or they've taken out the shooter means that they're doing a deep dive to figure out everything around them. They're looking, you know, obviously collecting any evidence, if there's a vehicle around, anything like that, wherever they live, they're going to be looking at that. They'll also be doing a very deep dive on all their social media. They'll be looking at, you know, anything that they've been doing online, because there may be connections that just aren't apparent right now that they're going to find.
All right, Hal, so we continue here to show some more of that footage from earlier today. I do want to bring up breaking news. It has been confirmed by the Associated Press. We have here shooter dead and rally attendee killed at Trump event in Pennsylvania, Butler County District Attorney tells the AP. So we are going to continue on this conversation, of course, but for right now, for anyone that has just joined us, I do want to go ahead and re-rack that entire chaos, that incident that happened earlier today. We have been showcasing on the screen, but of course without sound, and I think it's very important for the audience to just hear in full exactly what happened. So I'd like to play that out for everyone here next.
And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Right in the middle of him popping that shit. Right in the middle of him popping that shit, bro. Damn, who got killed? Where was the
Move to spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare.
Meanwhile, somebody's dead.
We ready?
Over there somewhere behind him, somebody's dead. That's crazy.
We good?
I think it's right there in the middle.
We're clear.
To the right side of the podium.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
Hold that in your head.
Let me get my Jordans. Hold on, my Jordans.
Watch out.
Clean the sharpshooter in there. Quit playing.
Okay, there you have it, the very scary, intense moments from earlier today in Butler of Pennsylvania. There at a campaign rally for the former president. We do have a breaking news at this moment, courtesy of Blake Hansen over at Fox News. Here, he says the AP is confirming shooter dead and rally attendee killed at Trump event in Pennsylvania. Butler County District Attorney tells the AP. Let's continue on dissecting this entire chain of events and where this investigation goes from here. Joining me once again, I have my colleague Austin Westfall, and also national security expert, counterterrorism analyst, and also someone who has worked closely with the Secret Service, Hal Kemper. Austin, I understand that you also had some comments to make about this breaking news and something you would like to ask Hal.
So, I'll just reset real quick for the folks that may just be joining. Donald Trump's campaign says that he is, quote, fine after being whisked off of the stage after those apparent gunshots rang out. The quote that the campaign sent out says that President Trump thanks law enforcement and first responders for their quick action during this heinous act. He is fine and is being checked out at a local medical facility. More details will follow. We've also heard from the Secret Service in a statement that says that the former president is safe. We do know that President Biden has been briefed on the matter. He's met with the director of the Secret Service. He's also met with the head of the Department of Homeland Security, Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. So, Hal, my question for you, we're talking about a rally attendee being killed. We're working purely in the realm of speculation here, but there were people sitting behind Trump. This is not out of the question that this could have been some sort of collateral damage.
Oh, the attendee that was killed certainly was collateral damage. I would say at this point, the working assumption would be that President Trump was the target. I don't think anybody would assume that they were aiming at anybody else. I can't imagine any scenario where someone would plan to murder someone or to shoot someone at a presidential rally. That just wouldn't happen. That wouldn't make any sense. So obviously President Trump was the target, but look, he's surrounded by people. If you look at what's going on there are so many people around him. Initially, when we didn't have any reports anybody had been hit, I was a little bit surprised. There are so many people there that if a round came from almost any direction, one might assume it was going to hit somebody. And of course, it does tell you something that it not only hit someone, but they are deceased, which will, I could make some inferences on, without knowing anything about the ballistics, that it has to be a fairly substantial round that would do that. So I'm thinking it could be a very small caliber round, and that would be consistent with what we heard. But with that said, now that I know that somebody in the area was actually killed, depending on how many rounds were fired, it could be a larger caliber round that was further out. We don't have a lot of information on this. That's the issue right now. We don't know much. It could have been something as small as a 22, which is a very small round. It could have been something larger like a 380. Those tend to be smaller rounds, or sometimes called 9mm short. Those are smaller rounds, or a 25 caliber round. These are all smaller rounds. And these might be rounds that somebody would put in, say, an improvised firearm that they could basically sneak into a rally like this and maybe use it as a weapon. They wouldn't have. They probably wouldn't have a lot of rounds that they could fire
on 10.
It wouldn't be a fully fledged firearm like a regular semi-automatic weapon. It'd probably be very limited in what it could do. And but that could have been somebody who was right there. Although what we see is that there was somebody, everybody turned off, to President Trump's right, and they were all looking out that direction. And so I'm waiting to find out where this individual, where they actually, engaged him and basically killed him, the shooter. I want to find that out because it looks like the round did come from President Trump's right-hand side. He was turned to the right, and he got winged in the ear. He got grazing fire in the ear, and he has an injury there. And it could be that somebody was aiming for his head, and with something like that, he may have tilted his head. He could have done a lot of things that basically was very serious in terms of
Mike
he
Wick,
moved in such a way
55,
that it wasn't a
salute
more
you, bro. You did
catastrophic
say that, the
injury.
pin gun. Nigga
But we
said
don't
that
know. We don't know all the
whoever that
circumstances.
might have
What we
fired
do
that
know
from
is that
something they snuck
obviously
in
he's
there,
okay,
like
with the exception,
a
of
pin.
course, he's
Pay attention.
he got he has a small injury in his ear where the round hit. But we don't have a lot of other stuff. But they're going to be looking very closely. A lot of times, as we say in the terrorism world, before they're acting out in the real world, they're usually active as you can imagine in the virtual world. And they're communicating through social media and various other platforms with like-minded
Maybe one of y'all
individuals
niggas
that
in
may
the
have
chat
the same
tried to
sort
get
of violent
Trump.
extremist beliefs that they have, assuming that this is a violent extremist thing, which it could be simply some other motivation. It could be mental illness. It could be a lot of different things. But they're going to be looking at that to find out, is there more than just this one incident? Is there possibly a broader conspiracy? Could there be others out there who are planning to do something connected to this? And that's what they're going to be trying to figure out very quickly.
All right, Hal, we're going to keep the conversation going with you. Austin Westfall, my colleague here, preparing to continue on this coverage. Austin, thank you so much for joining us as we continue with this developing story and everything that you've been able to provide to this context. We're going to see you up here in just a little bit. For everyone else that's going to stick with us here, though, Hal, I want to continue on with kind of the next steps. I did have a question when it comes to this rally and everything that happened there. I did see that almost immediately after they escorted the president, the former president, out of there, everybody kind of dispersed and all of the attendees left. Is that protocol? Wouldn't it be almost beneficial to investigators to kind of keep witnesses there on the scene, or how do they go about processing that and making sure that no suspect were to get away? Of course, we do know now that the shooter is dead. One person was killed. But again, how does that entire process work?
Well, normally what they want to do is, first off, they don't necessarily want to keep them in place. They don't necessarily,
because we don't want to make light of that. You know what I'm saying?
Stands. I mean, that's an active crime scene. They have to investigate that. So they're going to want to move people to another area where they can interview them. They can do anything else. They can look at any potential forensic evidence that they may have on them. And so they're going to be doing a lot of that. They will probably move them out, and I would hope in an orderly manner. That's been an issue with crowd control, and that's one of the things I do is I work on what's called crowd management, train crowd managers. For incidents like this, on how we move people from point A to point B to where we can control the situation and do all these other things that have to be done.
And hopefully that's the case.
Now, there have been
right here, they said one person
in the
dead,
past
somebody else was
where there
injured,
was a
but
shooter,
they died too? So
and
two
sometimes the
dead,
crowd
bro?
disperses, and it happens so quickly that there isn't a lot of control on where they go. And
then
it's very difficult because they have to go back and figure out who was there, and it can make for a very lengthy investigative process, and there can be gaps in investigation because they're trying to figure out who was there and who wasn't there. So they're going to be doing that. The other thing they're going to be doing is they're also going to be looking at all the video from people's cell phones,
and that's what I was saying,
from media,
so many words,
from everything else,
Queen,
and they're going to be trying to identify everybody who was at this rally.
This is who you rally with?
They want who they are, why they were there. They're going to want all the information.
I don't want the man dead.
Interview each and every one of them.
I don't want
and they're also going to be keeping in mind that there could have been, depending on what they find out, they're going to be looking initially to find out if there are any other potential co-conspirators, if you will. Somebody that could have been in the crowd that was planning on either that was doing something to assist the shooter, or maybe was there in some sort of assistant sort of role. Maybe they were a backup shooter or something. There could be a lot of different scenarios that they have to rule out very quickly. Secret Service is extremely good at this. They know the mind of a would-be assassin or assassins probably better than anybody else in the world. That's what they do. They fully understand the mindset, whether it's based on violent extremist beliefs, whether it's based on some sort
they
of
big
mental
patriots, all
illness,
right.
if you will, a variety of other motivations that they might have. And they have this pretty much figured out as far as what to look for. And so they're going to be doing all of these things, but they're also going to be collecting a lot of evidence. And that's one of the reasons they want to move people in an orderly manner. They want to kind of get them out of there, but they also want to start collecting evidence from them as well. And of course, it's an active crime scene. I mean, not only has a former president been injured, but there's actually been a homicide that took place. So they're investigating that.
All right, Hal, we are continuing to show the moments when all of that happened earlier today in Butler, Pennsylvania. Stick with us here. I do want to pull up this photo that we have from Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr. In the aftermath of that, you do see the blood on the president's face.
I better believe
and
we about to
just
see
above
that
his
till
right
he gets
ear.
into presidency.
Let's get to
this
the latest
photo right
from
here
the Associated
will
Press
be plastered
here. They say
everywhere.
this: Donald Trump's campaign said in a statement that the former president was, quote, fine after a shooting at his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. A local prosecutor says the suspected gunman and at least one MPD are dead. President Trump thanks law enforcement and first for their quick action during this heinous act. A spokesman, Stephen Chung, said in a statement, a quote, again, he is fine and is being checked out at a local medical facility. More details will follow. The Secret Service also said in a statement that the former president is safe. Butler County District Attorney Richard Goldiger said in a phone interview that the suspected gunman was dead and at least one rally attendee was killed. We are continuing to follow this developing story that happened just after 6 p.m. on the East Coast, just after 3 p.m. on the West Coast. Joining us once again to continue to dissect this situation is Hal Kempfer, national security expert, also an expert in counterterrorism, and has worked closely with the Secret Service. Hal, any more thoughts as we continue to learn all of these developments? Again, that attendee was killed, suspected shooter dead. I know that we heard those popping noises when I played out some of that scene from earlier today. Would you be able to tell what kind of weapon was used in that scenario?
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a moment for the people.
One of the things I would point out
bro.
is we're relying on an audio feed that came from from media that's there, and so it's difficult. Obviously, from an audio feed, we have zero direction. We can't tell where it came from. We have no ability to do that. And what we
Somebody
hear
said they dropped and put the dye on his ear.
Could have been muffled. It could have been
somebody told me get
an
offline
echo,
because
if you
I
will,
should be doing this.
Off of there. You saw a lot of tintage and a variety. You got a lot of people out there. All of this does things with sound that can be, certainly from a little bit difficult to ascertain exactly what kind of weapon it is. The fact that it sounded like it was more than one shot. It sounded like it was multiple shots in rather quick succession would indicate that it may have been a small arm, possibly a smaller ballistic weapon, maybe. And if it was a pistol, assuming it's not a rifle, they said they took out the shooter. They killed the shooter, and that would indicate that the shooter was probably in fairly close proximity, unless they just got really lucky. But it would probably be closer proximity. That again is a supposition. We don't have any details. We don't know that for sure. But if that's the case, it could have been a smaller weapon. And it may have been something like an improvised weapon, sort of what was used, maybe something that was designed specifically to evade all the security precautions at a rally like this. And if that's the case, it may be a smaller caliber weapon. Could be a 22, 25, could be a 380, a smaller type weapon in terms of the type of ballistics involved, in terms of the rounds that would have been fired. But we'll find that out. We'll also find out how the person killed was killed. Were they behind former President Trump, or in around former President Trump? Was that how they were hit? Could it have been somebody that was closer to the shooter? Could have been somebody that got in front of the shooter, or in front of the shooter while they were shooting, or somebody who saw the shooter and tried to take action. We have no information on that right now. And so we're going to find out more about that situation as it develops. But there's going to be a lot of evidence gathering. There's going to be a lot of investigation with physical forensics on scene, looking at everybody's feeds, whatever they were streaming out there, but also looking at anything online.
That's a cold ass photo.
With the shooter themselves to figure out who was this person connected with, who are they talking to? Is there a broader conspiracy? Do they need to change the threat condition across the board? These are all things the Secret Service is doing in conjunction with other law enforcement agencies.
Hal, I do want to bring up this photo that we just got into our newsroom, courtesy of our partners over at Fox 4. Very jarring images that we see there. The moment, it seems, when former President Trump dunked behind the podium, you see the blood trickling down his face. It must have been so scary for him, as it was for people that attended this rally.
That shit did not look scary.
I'd like you to tell our viewers a little bit about the Secret Service detail that does follow the former president. You had mentioned earlier in our conversation, he is not a current sitting president, but still, he does have heavy security around him at all times. Can you tell our viewers how that works?
Well, he has a security detail. It's not as robust as the sitting president. The sitting president has other things that they have to be concerned with. For example, they are the commander in chief, so they have to maintain communications. They have the infamous launch codes, if you will, for nuclear weapons. There's a lot of things that surround the sitting president that a candidate for president wouldn't have. What they have is a security detail that is really there to protect the protect E, if you will, which is the candidate. In this case, the candidate's former President Trump. So there is a fairly robust capability there. There will be some medical expertise on hand, whether they have a paramedic. I don't know whether they have I would imagine with an event like this, they would probably have something along the lines of an ambulance or something nearby, if for nothing else, just to deal with in crowds like this in case somebody gets ill. But with that, the detail itself will have some sort of emergency capability, emergency medical capability, and of course they're fully prepared. They know that what they do, that they're protectee. The reason they're there is because somebody may try to shoot them or try to blow them up, and therefore or something else, and therefore.
Hal, I'm sorry, excuse me, I do have to cut you off for a moment here, because here on your screen we do have some more breaking news from the Associated Press saying law enforcement officials shooting at Trump rally is being investigated as attempted assassination of ex-president. Those are powerful words to hear today, especially after seeing what happened at that rally. What do we make of this?
Well, what I make of this is what I kind of expected. I mean, if somebody was killed, in whatever happened, if there was a bystander that was killed, and of course, the former president was wounded, even though a serious or life-threatening wound, if you will, you have to assume, you have to look at this and say, look, that was a bona fide attempted assassination. That's that's somebody was trying to kill former President Trump, and it was fortunate that it did not happen, that he was grazed, and Secret Service was able to get him out of there, get him to safety, and whatever did happen, whatever wounds he has, they're dealing with those, but with that, I would fully expect that's the way they're gonna handle this. And in fact, I would expect they're gonna treat it as an attempted assassination, unless there's some compelling evidence that it wasn't an attempted assassination, because that would be kind of a immediate default of what you have to go into, as what are you looking at? And I can't imagine any other conclusion that they would have at this point based on everything we've seen.
I think that was going to be my next question. To say attempted assassination, what kind of evidence would have to be in place for investigators to come to that conclusion? But I guess what you were trying to say here is that it is an attempted assassination unless proven otherwise.
Well, based on just right there, you have the protectee was wounded. Again, not a life-threatening wound, but it was a serious attempt. and then somebody that was there was killed, was murdered, if you will. And so that obviously, if somebody was killed, then whatever use of force that the assassin, the would-be assassin, or the shooter had was serious enough that they could have obviously killed former President Trump had they, had they hit him, if there had been a different type of shot. So they have to kind of treat that as an attempted assassination. Right now there would be no other conclusion I certainly could come to that this was anything but
apparently they drugged the shooter out of there too, which I'm not understanding, like, why exactly they would drag the shooter out. If you know you killed the shooter's dead, wouldn't you leave him there and try to investigate everything right there in that moment? Wouldn't you? Because that's now a crime scene, correct? So wouldn't you want to examine everything for what it is, right where he at, right where you killed him? Why would you be trying to rush him out? Meanwhile, there are people who are dying, right? It's people who's hit by the gunshots. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you be trying to scatter? Okay, the president, of course, we get the president out here, but don't you tend to those people? Wouldn't you just leave the body of the shooter there? I don't know. Y'all tell me in the chat. Isn't that something that you would do, right? You would leave that there because y'all want to investigate the whole thing or whatever. But they seem to have rushed him out fairly quick too. You know what I'm saying? He dead. It's nothing more he could do. You feel me? You get everybody else up out the spot. Or was it too many people? Right? Was it too many people in the rally for them to try to get everybody else out of there? So they was just getting him. I'm just not understanding what's going on here. I'm really not understanding what's going on here. Nigga said hoax. Yeah, I don't know. Something's going on.
An attempted assassination. This wasn't, there was some speculation initially when they didn't know if there was, if former President Trump had actually been hit. There was some speculation that maybe it could have been firecrackers or something like that. And certainly you could have said that initially, maybe, if you didn't have any information, and then there was some speculation out there on that. Obviously, this is nothing like that. This was a bona fide attempt to assassinate a political candidate.
He wasn't doing too much.
And they were using a weapon capable of deadly force, because not only did it injure the former president, but it killed somebody. He was pointing, somebody who was a bystander and somebody else around. And we don't have any information on the particulars on that. But obviously, that tells you whatever weapon they have was capable of causing a fatal injury.
All right, so looking here again at that very powerful and compelling image that we have from our partner Fox 4 News. We're going to continue on throughout the course of this evening as we learn more from this very scary situation over in Butler, Pennsylvania, happening earlier today. Hal Kemper, stick with us here on the line. We're going to continue to speak with you as we learn more. We're dissecting the situation. Just reports that it's being investigated as an attempted assassination.
Y'all will be seeing these images until he becomes president, fake or not. Understand what's going on here. Fake or not. Understand what's going on here. You guys will see these images in front of your face, on your TV screens, on the newspaper, plastered all across the internet until he becomes president. Pay attention.
We're going to have more from you coming up in a little bit. Stick with us here. But for now, everyone else that is continuing to join us, or if you are just joining us now, we are following this breaking news from earlier today in Butler, Pennsylvania. Two people dead, the shooter and
my nigga visuals is super on this die. I don't know if that's die, brother. I'll be quite honest with you. You know what I mean? I don't even know if we're at the point of like, oh, this was fake. I think that this might be a real thing, y'all. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm gonna just be real with you. Somebody's dead. There's multiple people dead, right? And I just saw a video of the shooter being dragged out of the rally. Like he was hogtied. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I work in Hollywood, so I see some crazy things go on. I'll be honest with y'all. You know what I mean? You can make this look like whatever you want to make it look like, but I'm gonna just say I don't know if you know what I'm saying, that's die and all that. It could have been staged though. You feel me? I don't know. This is above my pay grade. This is real high power. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't begin to be able to tell you about the goings-ons of these kind of folks. I ain't even gonna lie. You know what I mean?
Also an attendee that attended the Trump rally. We did carry that moment live for you. We have been playing it for you throughout the course of this evening in case you have missed it, so you can see the moment that all of this unfolded. I would like to go ahead and reset now that we're about to hit the top of the hour here. We're going to continue our commentary. We are nonstop as we continue to get more information from this. Again, a shooting at a Trump rally from earlier today now being investigated as an attempted assassination. If you are just joining us now, watch the moments this all unfolded.
We're going to watch this one more time just so y'all can see what's going on. Y'all can make y'all conspiracy theories, then I'm going to get up out of here. You feel me? I gave y'all an hour of Trump and the goings-ons. So, you know what I mean?
All right, before we do showcase that, as I said, this is developing and we continue to get breaking news. We have President Biden tweeting on this event. Take a look here. He says this, briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I am grateful to hear that he's safe and doing well. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who were at the rally as we await further information. Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service. The president here echoing similar statements that we heard from the former President Trump earlier today as he thanked law enforcement and also...
My nigga Keith said, this ain't no jumper. This is real. That's what I tend to believe too. But I'll be honest with you, man. You know, it's hard to tell with a lot of this kind of stuff, man, because... You know, people go through great lengths, you feel me, to deceive the people. Think about COINTELPRO. We won't get all deep or nothing like that, but I'm just saying. Nobody ever thought that would be a whole thing either, right? But they did that. Yeah, they did.
The Secret Service agents that helped during that time as we heard those shots ring out during that rally. The former president taking to the podium and speaking at around 6 p.m. Eastern time. That rally was supposed to happen at 5 p.m. Eastern time. It was about an hour late, about 5.
Nigga said Trump shooters was aiming like Jay Reed. Fucking dead. Hey, you niggas are goated, bro. What? Trump shooters shooting like Jay Reed. I'm done.
5 minutes into the former president speaking is when those shots first rang out. But again, here on your screen, we are finally getting official word and a statement from President Biden saying, again, I have been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear that he's well. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who were at the rally as we await further information. Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service. Again, though, if you are just joining us, we have just hit the top of the hour and we are going to once again showcase the moments that all of that unfolded earlier today in Butler, Pennsylvania. Let's watch.
And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And, you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Look at Shorty and the baby blue. Look at like she don't even never really get down. That's different.
Move his hair. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the stair. Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready. You ready? Down. Shooters down. Are we good? Shooters down. Shooters down. Are we good to move? Shooters down. We're good to move. Let's move. Let's move. We're clear.
They already have smoking.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
Let me get my Jordans.
So we gotta go.
Those are the OVO 6s. I just got those Jordans.
Watch out.
Wait.
Thugging. That's thugging. That's the definition of thugging. Huh? at that. Sock shorty all in the back of her head with the proud American fist. Like, damn. Nigga got his hand over Trump's head like if a bullet won't go right through his motherfucking hand and hit that head. That's crazy. Look, he's thugging. He ain't want to get in the truck, homie. Wow.
And look what happened to.
Okay, so that clip.
Boom, man. And that's the coverage. You feel me? We've been here for an hour and 19. I wasn't even planning on doing that, but I just wanted to let y'all know what was going on with y'all president. You know what I'm saying? Prayers to Trump. At the end of the day, I don't want anybody to get shot and die. You know what I'm saying? No matter what dastardly things they say about my people, my culture, I don't want you to die. You know what I mean? So, you know, prayers out to bro, and R.I.P. to the person who lost their life in the crowd. You know what I mean? R.I.P. to that person. I don't really know what to say because it's just like, dude, like Trump, I can't say too much because niggas be like, I'm going to get blapped and all that. I'm not even going to say nothing. But prayers go out to everybody who was injured or whatever happened in this situation. Again, I don't know if it was staged. I don't know if it was real. It looks quite real to me. I'll be honest with y'all. I seen some footage where they was dragging the shooter out. They had already killed him. It looked like he was hogtied or something. They was dragging him out of there. You know what I'm saying? And you heard in the video, too, they said, shoot her down. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't know. It could be staged. It could not. Who knows, man? Who knows? You feel me? But this ain't no jumper, y'all. This is what I'll say. This is not no jumper. This some other type shit. You feel me? It seems like, you know, Trump be rallying a lot of, or he brings a lot of hate with him. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, things happen like that when you be keeping a certain energy. You know what I'm saying? He real rah-rah about a lot of shit and don't care what nobody got to say or think about it. You know what I mean? Do that mean that you deserve to get assassinated? No, but they do it all the time. Let's be honest. They took all my black leaders out of here by assassination. Deep, intricate plots. What they did to my people. But, y'all know what's up with me, man. I'm about this month. You know what I'm saying? I did that for y'all. It was breaking. I was like, let me get up on here, do my 1-2 for the people. For the people. You know what I'm saying? Again, man, y'all smash that like for me. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think about all this. I know a lot of y'all in there, conspiracy theory, this shit bullshit, this fake. Hey, it could be. We may never know. But I'll see y'all on the next one. It's your boy Gangland.